Hey everyone, got a Raspberry Pi? While convenient, booting from an SD card has limitations in speed and durability, especially under continuous operation. To make your Pi faster and more reliable, today we'll explore how to boot your Raspberry Pi from an external drive or leverage a USB stick to significantly boost performance, durability, and storage capacity. First, connect to your Raspberry Pi. You can use SSH or operate directly with a screen and keyboard. First, we'll check your Pi's current bootloader version. This is crucial to ensure your Pi supports booting from USB or an external drive. If the screen displays a release date and version code, your bootloader is functioning normally. For Raspberry Pi 4 models from around 2020 onwards, USB boot support is generally quite stable. Next, we'll check the current bootloader configuration. This helps us understand the Pi's boot priority. This line indicates the Raspberry Pi's boot priority. With the 0xF41 configuration, the device will first try to boot from the SD card. If unsuccessful, the Pi will then attempt to boot from a USB drive or external SSD. This means your Pi is ready to boot from USB or an external drive. If the boot order isn't correct, you can reconfigure it to allow your Pi to boot from USB or an external drive. From the menu here, select Advanced Options. Next, select the boot order option to change your Pi's boot priority. Here, you can adjust the boot priority. With B1, the Pi will boot from the SD card, then NVMe, and finally USB. With B2, it will prioritize NVMe first, then try USB, and finally, the SD card. In this case, I'll keep the default settings because my Raspberry Pi already supports USB. You can change it if you want. Here, just select No, we'll reboot later. Next, before rebooting, please update the repositories and upgrade the system. Next, the most important thing is to update your Raspberry Pi's firmware to help it run more stably. Okay, now you can reboot the Raspberry Pi to apply the updates. Next, to allow the Raspberry Pi to boot from USB or an external hard drive, visit the Raspberry Pi homepage and download the Raspberry Pi Imager software. Here, click Download and install it like any regular software. After installation, you will see the Raspberry Pi software icon on your desktop. Next, you need to prepare a USB or external hard drive, preferably an HDD, SSD, or NVMe for better performance. And please note that if your device has data, be sure to back it up to avoid losing important information. Now, let's open the Raspberry Pi Imager software to start the installation process. First, select the model for the device you are using, and since I'm using a Pi 4 in this example, I'll pick it from the list. Next, navigate to the Choose Operating System section, where you'll select the operating system for your Raspberry Pi and pick the version you want from the list that suits your needs. In this example, I will choose the Lite version to save resources and optimize performance for my project. Next, Select the device you prepared earlier, and remember to back up any data if necessary before proceeding. With the new interface, you can set the host name for your Raspberry Pi right away, so choose a short and memorable name for easier management. Here, you should also select your country, time zone, and keyboard layout to ensure your settings align with your location and language preferences. Next, create a strong username and password to secure your Raspberry Pi, and make sure to remember them. Next, you can set up the network if you want. However, in this case, I'll leave this part empty and do it later. Here, enable SSH and choose password authentication. This will allow you to easily access your Raspberry Pi remotely when needed. If you don't need to use Pi Connect, feel free to skip this option and move on to the next step. At this point, review everything one more time. Then click Write to start the process of writing the operating system to the USB or external hard drive you selected. The writing process will start immediately, and you'll notice that the speed of writing to the hard drive is faster than that of the SD card. Please be patient and wait until the process is complete. That's it. The last thing you need to do is remove the SD card and connect the external hard drive or USB to your Raspberry Pi. Once done, restart your Raspberry Pi and see the difference in performance. I wish you success in booting your Raspberry Pi from USB or external hard drive. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more useful tutorials. See you in the next videos.